Ever looked up at the moon and thought about, well, what if there were other moons out there? Like around planets in other solar systems? Maybe even moons with life on them.
Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that.
That's right. We're going deep on exomoons, and to help us navigate this new frontier, we have a fantastic expert with us.
It's great to be here.
Could you tell our listeners a bit about yourself and the exciting world of exomoons?
Sure, I've spent years studying these distant moons and what they might tell us about the possibility of life beyond Earth.
And it's a pretty new field, isn't it?
It is, but it's moving fast. Just think, if a moon can make or break a planet's chances for life, finding exomoons could be the key to finding, well, life itself.
It's like a shortcut to finding aliens. And leading this search is Professor David Kipping at the Cool Worlds Lab. His team's working on a project right now, the Kepler 1708 Bi project.
Yeah, they're hoping to confirm what might be an actual exomoon.
Wow, that's incredible. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's start with the basics. What exactly is an exomoon? I mean, it's more than just a moon outside our solar system, right?
You got it. Think of it like this. Our solar system, but around a totally different star. Those planets, they could have their own moons, and that's what we call exomoons.
Okay, I see. So, like our moon makes Earth more livable, exomoons could be doing the same thing for their planets, making them potential hotspots for life.
Exactly. That's one of the most exciting things about them.
But I imagine finding these tiny things light years away must be insanely difficult.
Oh, it is. It's a huge challenge in astronomy. They're so much smaller than planets and so much fainter. Trying to spot one is like, well, imagine trying to see a firefly right next to a spotlight, and you're miles away.
That sounds near impossible. But speaking of moons, let's bring it back home for a second. We've got our own moon right here, and we all know it controls the tides, but it does so much more, right? It's not just some giant clock for the ocean.
You're absolutely right. The moon's impact is huge. Think about our coasts. If the tides were drastically different, entire ecosystems, they'd just collapse.
Wow.
Animal migrations that rely on the moon, those would be totally messed up. And that beach you love to go to on vacation, it might not even exist.
I have never thought of it that way. But how did we end up with this amazing life-supporting moon in the first place? How did we get so lucky?
Well, the most accepted theory is, billions of years ago, a Mars-sized object, we call it Theia, slammed right into Earth.
Wait, a Mars-sized object? Seriously?
Seriously, the debris from that impact eventually clumped together and formed our moon.
That's wild. But is there any evidence to back up such a, wow, catastrophic event?
There is. First, the moon's composition is incredibly similar to Earth's mantle.
Huh.
And the moon doesn't have a big iron core like Earth does. That supports the idea that it is formed from material blasted off Earth's surface, not from the core.
So this massive collision, this Theia impact, that might have been the key to life on Earth as we know it.
It very well could have been.
But how exactly did the moon make our planet more habitable?
Well, there are the tides, of course. Scientists think they might have been essential for early life to form, maybe in those tidal pools.
Makes sense.
But even more importantly, the moon stabilizes Earth's axial tilt. Without the moon, our planet would wobble like crazy, and the climate would be super unpredictable, with extreme swings.
So we wouldn't have those nice regular seasons we enjoy.
Exactly. And it's hard to imagine complex life, like us, evolving in such a chaotic environment.
It's amazing to think that this, well, giant rock in the sky played such a huge role in Earth's history and in our very existence. It really makes you appreciate those nights when you look up and see the moon shining down.
It does.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, how often do these kinds of impacts happen? Are Earth-like planets with large moons, are they common? Or are we some kind of cosmic fluke?
That's a great question. I know Professor Kipping addressed this in a recent interview. He was asked if searching for exoplanets and exomoons would still be worthwhile, even if we never actually found alien life. And his answer was a resounding yes. What do you think drives that kind of scientific curiosity? Why search if we might not find what we're looking for?
I think it's about the pursuit of knowledge. Scientists like Professor Kipping, they want to understand the universe. They want to know how planetary systems form and evolve. Do other planets have moons? How common are they? How do those moons affect their planets? It's all fascinating, even without the promise of finding ET.
It's like putting together a massive puzzle, a cosmic puzzle. Every new discovery, every piece of data we get, it helped us understand our place in the universe a little bit better.
Exactly. It's all about expanding our understanding of the cosmos.
But okay, let's play what if for a second. What if that Theia impact that created our moon, what if it had been just a little bit different? Like, what if the angle of impact was off?
Well, if the energy had been too high or if the angle was just slightly different, it's possible Earth wouldn't survive the collision. It shows how delicate this whole process of planetary system formation really is.
That's incredible. So, by studying exomoons, we can learn not just about other worlds, but about the chances of finding other planets like ours, right? We can figure out how common or uncommon impacts like the one that formed our moon might be.
Exactly. It's like a cosmic census of moons. We're trying to figure out if our moon is one of a kind or if there are countless others out there shaping the destinies of their planets.
It's mind-blowing. But if exomoons are so tiny and distant, how do we even find them? How does Professor Kipping go about doing that?
Well, he uses a special method to analyze data and figure out the probability of an exomoon being present. It's called Bayesian statistics.
Bayesian statistics. That sounds complicated.
It can be, but think of it like a detective gathering clues to solve a case. Except the clues are hidden in starlight, and the case is, does a distant moon exist? It's about using data to make educated guesses, to see if the evidence points to the presence of an exomoon.
So it's not just about looking through a telescope and spotting these tiny moons. It's about analyzing the data, the light from distant stars, and looking for those subtle hints that a moon might be there.
You got it.
Wow. Professor Kipping and his team are real cosmic detectives. Then using Bayesian statistics to unravel the mysteries of exomoons. What an incredible challenge.
It is, but it reminds us that science isn't about having all the answers right away. It's about asking the right questions, refining our understanding as we go, and being open to new possibilities. And in this field, the possibilities are endless.
Speaking of new possibilities, what if we actually found evidence of life on an exomoon? I mean, how would that change our understanding of our place in the universe? It's kind of mind-blowing to think about.
Yeah, it really is. Discovering life elsewhere would be a game changer. It would mean life isn't just this one-off thing here on Earth. It could be everywhere.
Exactly. It would be like the biggest discovery ever, wouldn't it? It would completely shift our perspective, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Just imagine the implications for, well, for everything. Biology, astronomy, philosophy, maybe even religion. We might need to redefine what it means to be human.
Totally. It would force us to confront some really big questions about who we are and where we fit in. But one thing I find really inspiring about Professor Kipping, besides his amazing research, is his commitment to making science accessible.
Oh, you're so right. He's not one of those scientists who just stays locked up in his lab, publishing in obscure journals. He actually gets out there and talks to people.
He does. He makes videos, podcasts, he even writes books. It's like he wants everyone to be part of this journey of discovery.
Exactly. He gets it. He understands that science isn't just for scientists. It's for everyone.
He's like the Carl Sagan of exomoon research. He takes these complex ideas and explains them in a way that anyone can understand.
Perfect analogy. And it's so important, especially these days when there's so much misinformation out there. We need more scientists like him who can connect with the public and explain what they're doing.
Absolutely. So, speaking of connecting with the public, if our listeners want to learn more about Professor Kipping and his work on exomoons, where should they go?
Well, the Cool Worlds Lab website is a great place to start. They have a ton of information about their research, videos, articles. They even have interactive simulations.
Interactive simulations. That sounds pretty cool.
They are. It's a fun way to learn about exomoons. And don't forget their YouTube channel. Professor Kipping posts videos all the time explaining his work and talking about the latest discoveries.
That's great advice. Definitely check those out, listeners. But, thinking about the search for life beyond Earth, it makes me wonder, what if, after all this searching, we don't find anything? What if we never find definitive proof of aliens? Does that mean all this effort, all this research, was for nothing?
That's a really interesting question. I don't think it would be a waste, even if we never find ET. The pursuit of knowledge is valuable in itself, don't you think?
I do?
We're learning so much about the universe, about how planetary systems work, what conditions are needed for life. Even if we don't find aliens, we're expanding our understanding of everything.
So it's not just about the end goal, it's about the journey, the process of discovery.
Right. And there's another way to look at it, too. What if not finding extraterrestrial life is actually a profound discovery in itself?
Now that's intriguing. How so?
It could mean that life as we know it, is incredibly rare,
Yeah.
maybe even unique to Earth. And if that's true, wow, that would really change how we see ourselves and our place in the universe.
That's a really interesting perspective. It's like they say, sometimes the most important discoveries are the ones we don't make.
Exactly. Even if we never shake hands with an alien or get a message from a distant civilization, the search itself, the exploration of the unknown, that's what matters. It's what pushes us forward, what makes us human.
I totally agree. It's about curiosity. It's about that drive to understand the universe and our place in it.
And who knows? Maybe someday we will find that definitive proof that we're not alone. But until then, the search continues.
Well said. So we keep exploring, we keep asking questions, and we never stop looking up at the stars with a sense of wonder.
Exactly. Because who knows what we might find out there?
We've been talking about what it would mean to find life on an exomoon, but what if we actually found evidence of life, like real proof? What would we do then? What would be the next steps?
That's a question that's keeping a lot of people up at night, I think. It's something scientists and, well, even philosophers and policymakers are already thinking about. Even finding something simple, like microbial life, that would be huge.
It would completely change everything, wouldn't it? I mean, we'd have to rethink everything we thought we knew about biology, about our place in the universe, everything.
Exactly. It'd be a turning point in human history, wouldn't it?
Totally. We'd be looking to science to tell us what to do, how to handle something like
Oh,
that.
for sure. We'd have to figure out, like, what kind of life it is, how it evolved. Could we
Yeah.
even communicate with
There's
it?
so many questions.
Huh.
But what would we actually do? Would we send probe to the exomoon? Would we try to, like, talk to them?
Those are all possibilities. But it wouldn't be easy. The distances involved, they're huge.
Yeah.
And it's not like we could just hop on a spaceship and get there in a few days, right?
Yeah.
Any mission, whether it's exploration or communication, it would take decades, probably even centuries, to plan and carry out.
And it would raise some pretty big ethical questions too, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It's not our place to just barge in and start poking around another planet's ecosystem, even if it's just to study it.
Right, even if our intentions are good.
Exactly. We'd have to be extremely careful and really think about the potential risks and benefits before we do anything. And it wouldn't just be up to one country to decide, it'd have to be a global conversation.
It's almost overwhelming to think about, but it's also incredibly exciting to think that we might actually find another form of life, that we might not be alone in the universe. It's just mind-blowing.
It is. And, it's a good reminder that the universe is a vast and mysterious place, full of things we don't understand. But that's what makes it so amazing.
Well said. Well, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of exomoons. We've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we?
We have, from the history of our own moon, to the search for exomoons and other star systems, to the very real possibility of finding life beyond Earth. It's been quite a journey.
It has, and I hope our listeners have enjoyed it as much as we have.
Me too. It's been a pleasure discussing this with you and with our listeners.
And this is really just the beginning. The quest to understand our place in the universe, the search for life beyond Earth, it's going to continue.
For sure. And who knows what incredible discoveries await us out there.
Exactly. So to our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never lose that sense of wonder about the universe and all its mysteries. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And until next time, keep looking up.